Hi guys, so for this tutorial you're going to need some dark brown rubber bands, some light brown rubber bands. You're also going to want some red and green rubber bands, and you're just going to need 2 black rubber bands. And you're also going to need, of course, your loom and your hook. So for starters, I'm going to start just by removing this center row of my loom. Now your loom is you're going to want your loom so that the bottom bar is facing you're going to want to flip them so that the holes are facing opposite directions, because we're going to be working in a round. So to start off this project, you're going to want to take your loom and your brown rubber bands. So to start this off, you're going to be working across a few pegs. So you're going to want to place your rubber band on the first peg, twist it into a figure 8, so it looks like that. And then you're going to want to go from the opposite peg, twist it into a figure 8, and you'll have an X. And you're just going to want to continue doing this down a few more pegs. So again, a figure 8, and another figure 8. And another figure 8. And then one more time, creating an X. One more time. You should have gone over a total of 8 pegs and created these X's. Now we're just going to take rubber bands and we're going to go up and down from each peg. This is going to create the bottom of your case. I'm just going to push these down just so it's easier to place the bands. And just push those down a bit, and then this is what your loom should look like. Now we're going to start placing bands around the perimeter of the loom, and I'm just going to run bands along this right side of the loom, going upwards. And you're going to, of course, run one vertical along the top, or horizontal, sorry. Flip this back around, and we're going to run our bands back up to the right side of the loom. And now you should have a rectangle going around the perimeter of your loom. So now we're going to start on this peg right here, And I'm just, as you can see, there is a separation, so you're just going to want to take the first band that you put down for the X's, you're just going to go under and bring these up over the bands that you just put around the perimeter. So just bring that up and over. I'm just going to lift all three of those up and over. Make sure that you do not get the top rubber bands stuck in there, because you want those rubber bands to stay on here or your piece is going to fall apart. Okay. You can even like push these down a little bit just so they don't start creeping over the tops. But yeah, again, I'm just going to go and grab those bottom 3 rubber bands off of the next peg, lift them up, and let go of them. And you're just going to do this to the rest of the pegs. There should be about 3 rubber bands on each one that you're going to be lifting up and over. And I'm just going to keep continuing this all the way until I get back to the start of the loom. On the ends, there should only be, on the corners, there's only going to be 2 rubber bands. And let's turn this around. And now to do the other side. And just keep going until you reach the end. Be careful not to pull off any of the bands that you don't want to pull off. You get all 3 of those bottom layers of bands that you used to make the X, and lift those up and over the bands that you used around the perimeter. Then on the last one, you just go up and over. So now once you finish that, this is what it should look like, and you have created your first row. We're just going to start, we're going to do the same exact thing that we did last time. So I'm just going to run these rubber bands along the perimeter of my loom again. There you go. So now you're just going to loop this around the same way you did last time, starting over here and just grabbing the bottom bands and bringing them over the top and just letting them go. And do the other side. Now there should only be 2 bands on the bottom, so it'll be a bit easier to differentiate between the 2. And there you go, you've completed your second row. So I'm just pushing these down a bit now. So now that you've done this, you're going to want to do this 2 more times, just going around and looping it over. If you didn't quite catch how to do that, go and rewind the video, and I'll be right back with you guys shortly. Guys, I'm back. So I just did 2 more rows, and now I have 4 rows that I have loomed here. So what we're going to do next, we're going to start wrapping around here as we would as if we were starting a row. So I'm just going to go from here. Now you're going to stop, because on this next rubber band that we're about to place, we are going to actually create a tail for Rudolph. So I'm just going to grab about 3 more of these rubber bands, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to wrap these around my hook about 3 times, and I'm actually going to do this to all 3 of the rubber bands that I just pulled out. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you're one more time, so 1, 2, 3. So now you should have 3 rubber bands on your hook that you have wrapped 3 times. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take 2 rubber bands and I'm going to lace them onto my hook, and I'm just going to start pulling it through the rubber bands that I have just wrapped around my hook. So you're going to want to probably use your fingers for this. So yeah. You're probably going to want to use your fingers just because this can get a bit tricky. Pull that onto there. And there you go. So now you should have a sort of ball shape on the end of your hook like this, and this is going to be Rudolph's tail. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take another rubber band and I'm going to pull this through my hook and onto my rubber band. So you're going to have something that looks like this, and you're actually just going to take your loom now, and right here where we stopped, you're going to place this right there. This will take place of your rubber band. And you're going to want to make sure that you have this little tail facing inside. And now once that's done, you're just going to continue right along with placing your bands. And once you've placed your bands, you're just going to go along again, just start flipping these puppies over like you did before. Just bringing the bottom bands up and over again. Nothing's changed except that we added that little tail. And there you go, this is what it should look like. So now I'm just going to do the perimeter around 3 more times, and I'll be right back. Again, you're just going to place bands around the perimeter and bring them up and over. Okay, so I just finished up doing 3 more rows around, so now I have a total of 8 rows right here. So yeah, now I'm going to just start creating Rudolph's arms. So again, I'm just going to take 3 rubber bands, wrap these around my hook 3 times, like this, and you're going to want to take 2 rubber bands and just kind of feed these into the ones that you looped around your hook again. It's the same method that we used for making the tail, only it's going to have a few extra steps. So then you can just bring this other end back onto the hook, and it's going to look like this, so it's like the start of the tail again. 2 more rubber bands, and I'm actually going to just loop these through, and it's sort of like making a chain stitch. So it's going to look like this, and again 2 more rubber bands, and I'm just going to do this again. And then you have created a little arm for Rudolph, so I'm just going to grab my one rubber band and stick this onto here. At this end, I'm going to place this arm. Just place either end of that right onto the loom. And it's going to look like this, and make sure your arm is facing the inside of your piece. So then I'm just going to bring some rubber bands up this side here. And then once you get to this end, you're going to want to work your other arm. So again, just 3 rubber bands, wrapping that around my hook 3 times each. And I'm going to take my 2 rubber bands and loop all those wrapped around rubber bands onto the loop. Use your fingers to help pull those over, just so you don't let go of anything. And then I'm just going to loop the other end back onto my hook. Again, 2 more rubber bands. And just kind of guide this one through there. And up. And then we're just going to do that once more. Loop that through, and then just with a single rubber band, just loop all of those right onto there. And now I am just going to place this down onto my hook, or onto my loom. And I'm just going to make sure that that is centered and facing inwards. And now I'm going to run rubber bands up this side of my loom. Same process as before. Just grabbing those 2 rubber bands on the bottom and bringing them forward. And you have finished row 9, so this is what it'll look like. And now I'm just going to go around another 2 times, and I'll be right back. So I just went around twice more, and then you're going to have 11 rows now, so it just kind of looks like this. So now we're going to start by making the face. So you're going to, again, just want to start wrapping these bands around here. I'm just going to go up this side on the right, straight up along the side that the tail is on, because you don't want the face to be on the same side as the tail. And you're going to stop once you get to 3, so that in the center we're going to place Rudolph's nose. So I'm just going to take some red rubber bands now. I'm going to take 2 of these and wrap them around my hook about 3 times. So right now I have 2 rubber bands. I'm going to do another one 3 times, and a 4th one 3 times. And then I'm going to just take 3 red rubber bands, and I'm going to just put these all on my hook, and I'm just going to bring all these rubber bands over onto those 3. Again, just use your fingers to kind of help you pull those over. And you're just going to want to pull those through. Put the bottom up there. You can adjust this a bit so it's better. And now you're going to take your brown rubber band again, and you're just going to loop this right on into here. And it's going to look like this. And you're going to take your loom and place it right here where the other band would have gone. And just make sure that your nose is facing the inside of the project. Like this. And then you can just grab your rubber bands and you can continue to bring these up the side. So I'm just going to do that. And again, I'm just grabbing the bottom two and looping them over the top. And there you go. And again, I'm just going to push these down a bit, just so it gives us more space to work with. Now I'm going to work on the eyes. So that was row 12. So I'm just going to run some rubber bands along the side where the tail is. Now I'm only going to place one band, two bands, and then right here on the other side of the nose, on either side of the nose is where our eyes are going to go. So to make those, I'm just going to grab one black rubber band, wrap it around twice, 3, 4. You're going to wrap that 4 times around your hook, and then you're going to take your brown rubber band, and you're just going to bring all of these black loops over your hook and on to your brown rubber band. And then I'm just going to place this onto my loom, and it should look like that. And I'm just going to do the same thing to my other black rubber band. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 loops around. And just pull these over to make a second eye. And now before you place the second eye, you're actually going to want to get a rubber band and put it right here above the nose area, and then the eye is going to go onto the other side of the nose area. So I'm just going to center that eye, and I'm just going to place this right onto my loom. And you can just kind of fiddle with these, make sure that they're perfect, and then you're just going to add a couple more rubber bands to finish off this round. And now we're just going to start looming these over. So again, I'm just grabbing the bottom 2 bands and lifting them up and over. And there's that. So now I am just actually going to run a brown perimeter around this 3 more times, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I just brought the 3 more rows around, and this is what it's going to look like. And now we're going to start to place our antlers. You just grab these light browns, and I'm just going to bring it up around the back side where the tail is, just up this entire side. And flip this around, and you're going to want to do 2 rubber bands, and then you're going to stop right where your eye was, and we're going to make the antlers. That I'm just going to grab my dark brown rubber bands. Pretty similar to the other things we did, so I'm going to take 1 rubber band, wrap it around 3 times, a second rubber band, wrap it around 3 times, going to stop there, and I'm just going to take 2 rubber bands doubled up, and I'm going to pull these bands onto those 2. And then I'm just going to bring this over the top. It'll look like this. And I'm going to take 2 more rubber bands and bring these over the top so that it looks like this. Now that I have that, I'm just going to take this, and now I just kind of have an end of a paintbrush here, and I'm just going to transfer these onto this just so it can hold it while I'm working the other part. So you're just going to want to grab a pencil or something to put this on while we're doing the second part. So again, I'm just going to grab 2 rubber bands, go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to grab 2 rubber bands and bring these over the top of that piece, and I'm going to loop this so that it looks like this. Now I'm going to actually just take this piece, and I'm just going to loop my fingers through here, and I'm going to stick this onto my hook, and I'm going to go right ahead and I'm just going to loop that first loop over so that it looks like this. And I'm going to grab 2 more rubber bands, and I'm just going to loop these 2 rubber bands through all of these loops down here. And that's going to give me something that looks like this. And this is going to be one of. And now as you can see right here, there's this spot that can actually fall off the top. So you're just going to go underneath those 2 rubber bands like this, and you're going to have these 3, and you're just going to take your brown rubber band and loop those right on through. And I'm just going to place these on my pegs now. And again, just flip that so it's on the inside. And now I'm just going to continue to loom these. And now I'm just going to bring these all over the top. Okay, so now once you have that done, we're going to start actually to cast this off now. So I'm just going to start making these X's. Okay, so now right about here, you're going to want an opening for the top of your hand sanitizer to come through. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take a rubber band and just run it straight across into a figure 8 formation. And I'm also going to do that along the top as well. And then I'm just going to continue doing these figure 8 X's. And then once I've done that, I'm also going to run a figure 8 up and down on each peg. But I'm going to skip these 4 right here just so we can have that space again. Once that's done, I'm going to go around and I'm going to lift off these bottom 2 and put them over. Just the bottom 2. And then this is what it's going to look like. Start to bind these off. So on this end, I'm just going to go down underneath to the bottom rubber band, and I'm going to bring it over here. And again, I'm just going to go down in here, find that bottom rubber band, and I'm going to bring it up and over. And again, down to this bottom rubber band, bringing it up and over. The bottom rubber band. And then this is what your loom is going to look like once you've finished bringing those all up and over. And then this is going to be your only loose end. So I'm just going to take 2 rubber bands. I'm going to go underneath in here. And I'm going to take those 2 rubber bands. Bring them up in here. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and bring this over to create a nice slip knot, just so that'll knot off the end. And now you're ready to take this off your loom. So you just carefully take off the rubber bands. Use your hook or your fingers, doesn't matter. Just be careful so that you don't break this. Don't want to snap any rubber bands after all that work. And there you go. Now that it is off the loom, you can just kind of stretch this out a bit, and you're actually going to want to go inside here, and you can flip this inside out. And then you have a cute little Rudolph with a tail. And now you're going to want to create a strap just so you can hang this from your things. So to do this, I'm actually just going to go right ahead, go into the side of him, and these 2 rubber bands that you used to tie off Rudolph, you're just going to try and pull these through the side of him, just like that. So now that you have that, you're going to go ahead and make a strap. So you can just stick your hook right through here, and I'm just going to go ahead and make a double chain. So to do that, I'm just going to double up my rubber bands just so this is a bit sturdier, and you're just going to want to start making a nice little rubber band chain. I'm just doing a nice little red and green pattern in honor of Christmas. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to double loop this band around the end of it. I'm going to pull it through the two, and I'm just going to pull this through the bottom of it to create a slip knot, just so it doesn't come undone. And then you can just add a C-clip to the end of this. And then the clip can just come back down to this brown end and clip right on there. So there you have it. You have a nice little Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer hand sanitizer case. So you can just grab any kind of hand sanitizer that you have, and up on the top there's going to be like a little hole, and you can just stick your hand sanitizer right in there. And there you go. Now you have a really cute and festive hand sanitizer holder. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and please subscribe for more videos, and stay tuned. Bye.